Happy holidays and a happy new year. If you're watching this just as it comes out, this is the day before the new year of 2024. So I'm pretty excited. What's really cool about right now is that in Genshin Impact in the 4.3 update, we have a fan favorite returning, aka Ayaka, or has returned, whatever you want to say. But Ayaka is of course a fan favorite around the Genshin Impact community, so today I thought that we'd take a stroll back into the build guides and talk about Ayaka and how you should currently build her as of 4.3. Now of course, if you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below, and also hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Genshin Impact build guide comes out. And of course, leave a comment. Would love to hear you guys' opinions on this. Of course, before we get into actually how to build her, we need to know what to do to ascend her. So follow me as we take a trip to talk about Ayaka. I still gotta find a way to actually transition into this because I have a hard time thinking about it on the spot. But of course, let's talk about Ayaka. Now, Ayaka is a one-handed sword user of the Cryo element, which Cryo right now is probably the second worst element, but really starting to hit that lower end with the recent release of Navia alongside Ayaka. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how you're going to ascend your Ayaka first. First things first, you're going to need the Shavita Jades, right? So you need Shavita Jade Silvers, which you need 1 of, Shavita Jade Fragments, you're gonna need 9, Shavita Jade Chunks, which you're gonna need 9, and Shavita Jade Gemstones, which you're gonna need 6. Remember, Hoyoverse loves these rules of 3, so 3 silvers make a fragment, 3 fragments make a chunk, and 3 chunks make a gemstone. Now, for these, you're gonna have to fight some bosses. Now, you could get them from the Cryo Hypostasis, you could get it from the Cryo Regisvine, hell, you could even fight the duo down below of Nekomiya, I can't remember their names, but you could fight them and actually have a chance of getting this, and you could even fight Boreas as a world boss fight and possibly get some. But of course, you're also going to need to fight the boss that is the Perpetual Mechanical Array. Now the that's such a hard one. Perpetual Mechanical Array is not going to drop those Ice or Shavita Jades, to be honest, and that's what's going to suck about this grind, is that you're not only going to have to fight the Ice or Cryo-based bosses, but you're also going to have to fight this Perpetual Mechanical Array to actually get the 46 of the boss item that you're going to need. How many times are you going to have to run that? Well, it's gonna be a lot, I'll tell you that right now. You're either gonna need to fight it upwards to 23 times if you get unlucky and hit 2, or I believe it's about somewhere along the lines of 16. So you're gonna have to fight it a lot, and it's gonna cost a lot of resin in general, so be ready for that fight. What you're also going to need is one of the hardest items to really farm up in Inazuma, and that is the Sakura Bloom. Why is it considered the hardest item to farm? Well, you're going to need an electro character, and you're going to have to use electro element to actually be able to obtain these Sakura Blooms. So if you have Himeko, Himeko is going to be a great choice for that because she's a catalyst user and you could just go from there. Another one is Fischl. Fischl can, you know, charge attack each and every one of those Sakura Blooms, but I digress. You're going to need 168 of these, so be ready for that grind. And of course, you're also going to need these little, not boss mats, but you're going to need the enemy mats. So let's go ahead and scroll down here really quick. As you can see, we have our totals right here on the right side of our screen. You're going to need these handguards. Now, the handguards are given off by the Ibushi. I almost said like Kota Ibushi from like well, not New Japan anymore, AEW, but that's not the case. The Nobushi. Now, the Nobushi are the samurai that are around the islands of Inazuma. You're going to need 18 in total of the old handguards. You're going to need 30 of the Kageuchi handguards, and you're going to need 36 of the famed handguards. And remember, again, rules of 3 when it comes to these items. 3 of the old handguards are going to make the Kageuchis, and 3 of the Kageuchis are going to get the famed handguards. Now, let's go ahead and scroll down and talk about now your talent priorities, right? So with talents, if you want a triple crown, this is the amount of items that you're going to need in total, right? So you're going to need Teachings of Elegance, which 3 of these are going to make the Guides to Elegance, and 3 of the Guides are going to make a Philosophy of Elegance. Now you could farm these every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday, which Sunday is a collaborative. You can farm any of them. Now, of course, you're going to need in total 9 of these Teachings of Elegance, you're going to need 63 of these Guides of Elegance, and you're going to need 114 of the Philosophies of Elegance. These are going to be a tough grind because you only get a certain type of days or certain days to do them. So be ready for that. Plan your grinding when you're grinding for these characters. Plan it. Now, of course, you're also going to need more of the handguards that we were just talking about. So you're going to need a grand total of 18 more handguards or old handguards. You're going to need 66 more of the Kageuchi handguards, followed by 93 more of the famed handguards. And on top of that, right, let's go ahead and talk about this item here, the Blood Jade Branch. Where are you going to find this? You're going to find it with the Azhdaha World Boss Fight. And I hate that boss fight. It's probably the only one that I truly despise dealing with because Azhdaha to me is just annoying AF. So, but you're going to need 18 in total to triple crown your Ayaka, which I would recommend doing because triple crowning your Ayaka does help you out regardless of like if you're going for burst first, then normal attack, then skill. Hint, hint, you should go burst, normal attack, then skill. Of course, you're also going to need 3 crowns of insight. That's a no-brainer. And then let's talk about how much more you're going to need. We always talk about this. You're going to need about 7.1. It's 7.1, I believe. 7.1 million Mora to actually go from ascending from level 1 to level 90 and triple crowning your Ayaka. Is Ayaka worth the triple crown? 100%. I truly believe she is. She is one of those characters that I would recommend triple crowning. So now let's go ahead and talk about Ayaka as a whole. Now, first things first, as you can see with my Ayaka, this is my spread. I have a 30 in crit rate with a 219 in crit damage, 127% in energy recharge, followed by making sure that I hit at least 2000 attack. That's the kind of, you know, that's the minimum. I would say go for more attack if you can, but I'm at about 2100, which it took a lot of rearranging. I'll tell you that right now. I was losing my mind. Now for weapons, Miss Splitter, Miss Splitter, Miss Splitter. That is your best weapon for Ayaka. It is legitimately Ayaka's weapon anyway, so you should be going for that one. Another good weapon to possibly have on her is Light of Foliar Incision, which is a decent weapon, especially with the crit damage being going all the way up to 88.2%. And that's almost double of what Miss Splitter Reforge is going to give, which is pretty crazy to think about. But Miss Splitter's Reforge actually gives more attack, which is what Ayaka needs anyway. Good 4-star weapons. Finale of the Deep is something that I've heard is actually really good on some Ayaka builds. I've heard the the Amanoma Agauchi. I've never tried that myself because I don't have that weapon. And to be honest, the weapon that I have tried before is Sacrificial Sword to get that skill again. And the skill actually helps you out with getting your burst, which works really, really dope. But unfortunately, Sacrificial Sword does not work that well on her anymore. So for me, I went with the Kagatsurubi Ishin. And the reason why I went with this weapon is I needed more attack. And that's the thing that my Ayaka originally was lacking heavily, is attack power. She had great crit. I had her at like 250% crit damage and like almost 70% crit rate before, but she wasn't hitting. She was hitting like a wet noodle because she only had like, I think 1,000 attack power, which was pretty insane to think about. So I had to do a lot of rearranging. So unfortunately, I had to go from Sacrificial Sword, which I think is the better choice in general to get that energy recharge up. By the way, you want to get your energy recharge to about 120 to maybe 130, 140. So there's that. But I had to sacrifice the Sacrificial Sword to get the extra attack power. That's really only reason why I have this, except for the fact that, you know, when you have normal charge and plunging attack hits an opponent, it'll whip up the Hewing Gale, dealing AoE damage equal to 180% of the attack and increasing attack by 15% for 8 seconds. So again, you're getting another 15% attack on this. So it's a decent option. Now let's go ahead and talk about artifacts, because this is crucial. If you're going to run Ayaka with 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, which is her best set to get that crit rate, you're gonna need to run her in a freeze team. There's no exception in my personal opinion in regards to that. I think that she benefits from being in the freeze team anyway. So 4-piece Blizzard Strayer is her best set. You could run her with a 2-piece 18% attack with a 2-piece Blizzard Strayer, or even a 2-piece Noblesse with 2-piece Blizzard Strayer. But in all honesty, the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer set is her best set. Cryo damage plus 15%, and when a character attacks an opponent affected by cryo, their crit rate is increased by 20%. If the opponent is frozen, crit rate is increased by an additional 20%. So not only will you attack with cryo after you do your running animation, which we'll get into here in a second, getting that 20%, you'll get an extra 20% on top of that. So what does that mean for me? My Ayaka is at a crit rate of 30.3. When I effect with cryo, it goes up to 50.3. And when I go ahead and freeze them, it's another 20. So that's a 70.3 to a 219 ratio, which is fantastic, right? So let's talk about main stats that you're going for, right? For your main stat on your Sands, you want to go for attack percentage, because again, she scales off of attack. She's a bland DPS in that regard, like attack. Your Goblet, cryo damage bonus, easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then of course for your Circlet, crit damage, because of the fact that you're getting that crit rate from Blizzard Strayer. Now don't look at this is a terrible piece, but I could not get another piece. Once I do, it'll be a lot better, I promise, guys. Just don't hate me. It's really bad, I know. It's a really bad piece. But stats that you should be working on is crit rate, crit damage, or mainly crit damage, so long as you have the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer. So crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, and ER. You could go for attack flat, but obviously attack flat is that, you know, no, like, don't go for it unless you have to. But your main stats, crit rate, crit damage, attack percentage, energy recharge. Now again, we talked about the talents, but let's go ahead and talk about the abilities here. First things first, we got the skill, which is the Kamisato art Ayaka. Summons blooming ice to launch nearby opponents, dealing AoE cryo damage. Very basic, very easy to understand. It's just going to do cryo damage. It shoots out from the ground. It does an AoE. It's pretty dang good. Now, of course, let's talk about the Kamisato art Sumetsu, which summons forth a snowstorm with flawless poise, unleashing a frostflake Seki no To that moves forward continuously. And the frostflake Seki no To, a storm of whirling icy winds that slashes repeatedly at every enemy it touches, dealing cryo damage. A snowstorm explodes after its duration ends, dealing AoE cryo damage. So let's talk about these ascension skills really quick before we like jump into what I want to talk about and why it's important to have her in a freeze team. So first passive, Amatsumi I always mess these up. Kunitsumi Sanctification. After using Kamisato art Ayaka, Kamisato Ayaka's normal and charge attacks deal 30% increased damage. That's very important for what we're going to be talking about with her dash. Now, the second one, or second passive, is Kentan Semyu Blessing. When the cryo application at the end of the Kamisato art Sinho hits an opponent, Kamisato Ayaka gains the following effects: restores 10 stamina and gains 18% cryo damage bonus for 10 seconds. Now, why is it important to dash before you go into some of the other stuff here? Well, it's because her dash applies cryo, right? So you're going to be applying cryo element to your blade the moment you come out of the dash. And what I mean by the dash is this right here. Once you're coming out, as you can see, her blade goes white, and when the cryo damage goes away, oh wait, I just dashed. But yeah, that's basically what it is that once you come out of the dash, she's going to actually have that cryo application. Now, let's go ahead and finish this off with a little bit of a team discussion. The team I'm going to be running with is Kamisato Ayaka with Fiorina, because Fiorina is going to apply that Hydro, which is fantastic for what we're going to be doing with the freeze, followed by Kazuha, or Kaidahara Kazuha, however you want to say it. Somebody called him Mitsuha recently in one of my videos, and that is bewildering to me because he's still one of the top 5 best units in the game. You're out of your mind if you think that, or if you think that he's mid. But Kazuha is going to help with the swirl damage, getting the element of Hydro going, and then Charlotte there for the heals just in case Ayaka starts getting hit. Plus with Fiorina's abilities, Charlotte's going to be helping out with that to kind of like balance that out. So plus she's going to do cryo application as well, so that's perfect. So oh well, I don't want to do it with the storm. I don't think that's fair. So let's go ahead and see if we can fast forward this real quick. I don't think having the storm is fair to what we're going to be talking about, because I think that honestly that's going to be misleading. So I want to have clear skies, obviously, though the rain helps out a lot. It really, really does. If you're able to have Ayaka and her team on a rainy day, you won't have to worry too much about applying hydro. There we go. All right, so let's talk to Masanori here. So the main thing that we're going to be focusing on is trying to get our abilities up. As you can see, Furina's is ready to go. So let's go ahead. First things first, get this going. We can actually kind of see it from here. Look at that. Already just kind of knocked him out of his wind. But now again, my damage was not that great. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Oh god. Oh my god, he's dodging. But even then, like, I really don't have to worry too much. But that was like not entirely the way that I wanted that to go. I kind of got a little bit meh, you know, it was a little weird. So let me go ahead and heal up Ayaka here real quick and everybody. So we're gonna go back in and we're gonna give it a good honest try, because I want to give you guys the full experience. But as you saw, my Ayaka was only doing about 9,000 damage, but it was continuously hitting. It kept on going, which was pretty neat in general. So I was pretty happy about that. Plus, I love being able to like swim around like this. I know that Mona does it as well and does the hydro application, but I like Ayaka's better because I'm a cryo nerd. So I actually really like the cryo element. I know that people say that it's terrible, but I love cryo element, and it's totally not because of Ganyu. All right, so let's go. I don't know why I did that. We're gonna get that ability going. She's still hitting really good, just not like the amazing damage numbers that you're gonna see. So let's get this. So yeah, she's not hitting as hard as I would hope, at least with this Ayaka, but I honestly think that if you're able to make, and this is just saying, like, not every one of my builds that I have on my characters is perfect. My Ayaka is definitely not even close to perfect. She suffers from having a bad weapon, and in all honesty, like, my artifacts are not the exact greatest. But even with that, she still does really well, especially when you're doing the freeze team. Like, you're giving yourself options to actually hit the opponent, and they're not gonna touch you. So having a team like this makes that a lot easier. Now, granted, as you saw, when Ayaka took a hit, she took a hit. But with having Charlotte there to kind of help balance that out, you'll probably end up doing a lot better than me. And like I said, if you have better weapon choices, if you were able to get the Finale of the Deep, if you were able to get, you know, Mist Splitters Reforged, which I highly recommend using on her, you will do 1,000 times better than I did. But even still, my Ayaka is not the worst. It definitely is one of those things where she could be a lot better. But I would definitely say, if you're gonna build your Ayaka, build her for a freeze team, give her the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, and give her Mist Splitters Reforged. That would be my go-to for that one. And of course, y'all, that's going to be it for today's video. If you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Hit that notification bell to be notified of when the next Genshin Impact video comes out. And of course, leave a comment. Would love to hear y'all's opinions on this. And of course, thank you so much. Love y'all to death. And as always, we will catch you in the next video. Please take care and be safe.